Today I'm going to be fixing the loosest steering I have ever seen on my 1970 Impala. Welcome back to No Guarantees. Now, when we left Arizona, we just packed the front end full of grease and called it a later problem. But now it's later and it's time I finally do something about it. Honestly, if you keep it under 75 miles an hour, it doesn't have any issues. I think that's really a testament to how good this car is because I'll just let the wheel speak for itself. Now, you guys can't tell me that this doesn't look like more than a slight vibration. I think it's got a little play. Now, packing this thing full of grease again was admittedly an option I considered, but I like this car and I think it likes me, so I'll do it the right way. I've got all new ball joints and tie rod ends from Rock Auto and a drag link and idler arm from eBay. Now, just to set expectations for the rest of the video, this is a completely new world for me. As you guys know, I am a solid front axle, four-wheel drive kind of guy, and doing anything with an idler arm is not something I've done before. So, we'll see how it goes. Taking a more detailed look, you can see the upper ball joint is pretty rough. The lower one's actually not all that bad, but yeah, this upper one is shot. Down here on the tie rod end, you can see the outer one's got some play, and then honestly, as far as I can see, everything else looks pretty decent, at least on this side. Around to the driver's side, I think these ball joints are actually still pretty good. That's pretty firm. I think the inner one is worse on this side, but honestly, not bad. It's really the other side that got the worst of it. First things first, the caliper and rotor need to come off. If you missed that video, this is a C3 Corvette rotor, and with a couple small modifications, it bolts right on. This is a 3/8 Allen on the back of this caliper. There are the pads. Got some zip ties. Zip tie the caliper up out of the way. Now rotor can come off. Start down here with the tie rod. Make it easier to move everything around. If this comes out anything like the other side, you could have reused all the hardware, it was so good. This is a 11/16. I know we're not reusing it, but just out of practice, I like to put the castle nut on backwards. Help protect the threads and the castle nut, just in case I were to hit them. Now, a very common misconception that I see is people beat right here, and you can, especially if you're going to be replacing it, but the better thing to do is to beat all around here, see if you can release that pressure. I'm also going to be using a pickle fork because I'm replacing these anyway. If you're not replacing them, you have to be really careful to not tear those boots. There we go. Easy peasy. And like I said earlier, these ball joints are actually not bad. There's really not any play in them, so they probably don't need to be replaced, but I've got them. I did the other side, so I might as well. Sun is not cooperating, so hopefully you guys can see something. But take my little floor jack, put some pressure on that spring so it doesn't come shooting out. Pull these cotter keys out. This one up here is a 3/4, bottom is a 7/8. I'm going to do the same thing with the castle nuts because this time I'm sure we're going to be hammering on them. Now for either the fun part or the not so fun part. Take a hammer and beat on these pads here and here. And if you turn it, there's two of the exact same ones on the other side. Keep beating and beating until this lets go. On the other side, I did have to use a pickle fork in here, which, oh, you can't use a pickle fork on a ball joint, but whatever. It works fine as long as you're replacing it. So yeah, time to annoy all my neighbors. Sorry, guys. Wow, that was really easy compared to the other side. Holy cow, did I get lucky. That came off right away. Huh. All right, let's see if the bottom one does the same. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna keep messing with it. Yeah, so that's all there is to it. I'm gonna keep messing with it, and I'll be back with you guys once I get it. I don't know if you guys can see it in that greasy mess, but it dropped down. The winning solution ended up being taking the pickle fork, shoving it in there, and taking the big floor jack and using it to jack up the end of the pickle fork. Is that the right way to use any of those tools? Absolutely not. But did it work? Now can I take the knuckle off? Absolutely. And there we go. Oh, I forgot. I ended up putting the tie rod back on just to hold everything still and make it easier. But there we go. That's one knuckle. And to remove the actual ball joints, we've got 2 bolts down here, 3 bolts up here, and this one big nut on top. Big nut's a 7/8. Grease zerk is a 3/8. These two are 1/2 inch. And there are nuts on the backside, a little bit of a pain to get to. There's one. There's the ball joint. Yeah, it's pretty loose. I get that there's no grease and no boot right now, but it's still pretty loose. It should be a little tighter than that. Up top, same thing. Nuts and bolts. I don't know if you guys can see it in the background, but I'm actively leaking lots of power steering fluid from turning the wheel twice. So I think rebuilding the power steering box is going to be up there on my list. Jeez, there we go. Well, my mic's dead. No clue how long that's been dead for, but working on the upper ball joint. The hardware is not the best that comes with these. I thought about reusing the old stuff, but I don't know. It's always a fun thing trying to compare brand new Chinese hardware to 50-year-old American-made hardware. It's closer than you'd think. I do wish, and I find it so silly that they don't make the hardware standard thread. Everything's metric thread, metric sizes, which I get that's the way the industry has moved, but you're making reman parts. Can't you just make them correct? I don't know. I'm sure there's a torque spec. I'm also sure I don't know what it is. And because we're sucking the ball joint down into the control arm, I want to make sure we're doing it evenly. So I'm going to tighten until the bolt is flush with the bottom of the nut. Do all three of them like that, and then I'll come back for a final tighten on all of them. Go ahead and throw this lower ball joint in. It's got this steering stop bolt, which I don't think these had from the factory. I think this is the steering stop right here, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to bind anything up. And this one only came with one lock washer. Nice. I guess I'll reuse one of the old ones. Some people online did say they had fitment issues on the lower ball joint in particular. I think it's because they're painting and powder coating their control arms, and I'm not, but this one is getting hung up a little bit. It's interesting, the one on the other side fit fine. I'm not quite sure where this one's getting hung up, but the bolt holes, oh, there we go. Might have just been a user error. I know I'm not too big on safety here. I don't really mention stuff like this, but if you've got the entire weight of your coil spring on a tiny jack like this, don't put your head underneath it, because if that thing comes shooting out of there or sends this control arm straight down, you're in for a bad day. Oh. I don't know if you guys heard that sound on camera, but it was a big creak and then a clunk, and I thought I was going down, but all it was the trunk just opened up. I should also mention that I had the trunk cracked to get tools out of it. My trunk does not just spontaneously open. There we go. That's really tight for one of those. And there we go. That's the ball joints in. I'm going to wait to throw the knuckle back in until I pull everything for the steering out, just so I have a little bit more room in there, but should be pretty dang easy to just throw the knuckle on at the end. I'm doing the ball joints over here off camera, but I figured I might as well show you guys the steering stuff. I disconnected this tie rod end to do the ball joint over here. Now I've got to go get the idler arm. I'm just going to pull everything out as one big unit. There are two 9/16 bolts inside these holes. I don't have my good ratchets here either, so I'm stuck with this Craftsman junk. The old Craftsman is fantastic. New Craftsman, on the other hand, don't get me started. Nice. So the only thing holding us in there steering-wise is that guy right there, right on the other end of the pitman arm. Don't think I'm gonna be able to show this on camera at all, but I'm gonna knock that out and then I'll pull out the whole setup all as one. Here it is, and it's power steering covered glory. And you can see that even if they were solid, all the boots are torn and they'd be replaced. So certainly not a bad thing that we're in here. I've heard mixed reviews of this Mevotech stuff. Supposedly their Supreme brand is better than their regular brand, but I don't know. It's all junk nowadays anyway. All right, here we go. There is old, that is new. The only thing left I have to do is pull our tie rods off, take our stud to stud measurement, and then put them on the new stuff. And that should get the alignment pretty close. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be good enough until I can get it to a shop that they can align it. Speaking of alignment, the other day I had to align my Jeep by hand because the shop that did it, they were towed in about 1 3/8 inches, which is a little bit over spec. I've got it down to a 1/16 of an inch, and it's much faster and drives way better. So if anybody near Northern Delaware has a recommendation for a shop that can do alignments, I am all ears. I was planning on going stud to stud, but I think Going Zerk to Zerk actually makes more sense because the studs move, but the Zerks do not. 15 and 7/8 sounds good. 15 and 7/8. So either this car was aligned perfectly and it happened to work out, or somebody set them both to 15 and 7/8 and ran with it. Either way, I will be doing the same. Got it all buttoned up. Figured you guys didn't need to see that. Torque spec for everything is 35 foot-pounds, and then the next slot on the castle nut. Got all the grease zerks in there as well, and all the cotter peas that I could. Both the outer tie rod ends, the grease zerk sucks. This one I couldn't get to go in at all. I was able to steal one of the grease zerks off the old ones. I got plenty. And then this one, I was able to get most of the way in, but it's still not seated flush, and I could already feel it starting to strip. So I'm not gonna push that one any further. If I need to swap it with one of those, like I said, I've got plenty, and we'll make it work. But a little bit disappointed. I could tell the outer tie rod ends and the inner tie rod ends seem to be coming from two separate places. They're packaged completely different. You can see all my remnants, and they are built completely different. Part numbers are in different spots, formatted differently. So same company, different Chinese factories. Anybody else end up with this kind of setup anytime they work on literally anything, or is it just me? I'm gonna see if I can sneak this whole thing in. You guys can't hear me because I don't have my mic, but I think I'm gonna tape or glue this washer to the bolt just so it doesn't fall off inside the frame when I'm trying to sneak it in there. I did find the other one. Somehow it ended up under the Impala, probably through like a little hole or slot in the frame or something, but I do have it. We're good to go there. I just gotta keep these washers secure. The two frame bolts on that side were incredibly hard to line up. But now that I've got them in place, it should be plenty easy for me to line up everything else. Do still have to throw that knuckle on that side, and then tighten down the last couple things, nut and bolt check everything, make sure I've greased everything, make sure I've got cotter keys and everything, and should be good. Throw the knuckle in, 5 bolt, there we go. Top one to 55 foot-pounds, bottom one to 75 foot-pounds. There we go. And even before greasing, absolutely no play, which is fantastic. Now I can put on this tie rod end, which you guys probably can't see from over there, so you have to take my word for it. There we go. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do all the rest of them. I promise, guys, they're gonna look exactly like that. And I know one of you was just about to comment it, so hold on. I'm gonna throw these cotter pins and the ball joints as well. My grease fitting for my grease gun exploded with 2 fittings left. So now I gotta go run to the store and pick up another one. That's just how these things go. So after all that, the steering is dramatically improved. I just got back from a test drive this morning and it's much better. It still drives like a 1970 Impala, but it drives like a 70 Impala should. Before all this, it honestly didn't feel as bad as it looked until you got down there and looked, and then this wasn't by any means a glamorous fix, but this is one of those things that just keeps the car on the road. It's not shiny parts, it's not go fast parts, but if your car's not comfortable to drive and you don't enjoy driving it down the road, you're never gonna drive it, and that ruins the whole point of owning it. Per tradition, of course, here's what this one cost. The ball joints were 85 bucks, the tie rod ends were 125 bucks for all 4, including the adjuster sleeves. The drag link was 143 bucks, and the idler arm was 83 bucks. That brings the total for the video to $436.66, and the total into the Impala so far to $6,904.17, which somehow makes this officially the most money I've ever had into a car. That's a weird thing for me to say about a car that I'm not totally sure I'm keeping. I mean, I like it. I loved the trip home from Arizona. I love the way this thing looks, but I'm just not quite completely sold on it. It's taken a lot of time away from some of the Jeep projects that I have in mind. There's one that I've been thinking of for years, and I finally got the time, the money, and the resources to really make it happen and make it be worthwhile. And this is unfortunately just getting in the way. Anyway, I digress. This car is much better than it was, and that's usually the goal. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out NoGuaranteesGarage.com. But that's all from me today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on No Guarantees. This video is gonna suck. The Impala content has not been doing very good as far as my channel goes. I know it's a Jeep channel, but man, I thought it would be better than this.